11:20. Now, if you've been on a flight recently, did you experience turbulence? It feels like more people are talking about experiencing turbulence at the moment. And last year, we heard of Singapore Airlines flight that had experienced severe turbulence, and it's becoming more frequent. Experts say that it could be because climate change has led to shifts in atmospheric conditions. Finlay Asher is an aerospace engineer and part of Safe Landing, which is a community of aviation workers and enthusiasts. He told me what turbulence is.
I think everyone notices it if you look at a river and you see the swirling vortices and currents. It's basically chaotic movement of a fluid. Now, air is the same as water. It's also a fluid. So you also get turbulence in air, but it's a little bit harder to notice with the human eye unless you've got some leaves blowing into it and you can see that turbulence occurring.
Do all parts of the world have turbulence, or are some worse than others?
Well, it depends what the weather's like in any location. So if you think about the atmosphere above the Earth, we have turbulence in some areas, but in a lot of the other areas we'll have laminar flow, which is smooth flow of air. It's a bit like if you think about a tap, when the water comes out and it's smooth and laminar, but then it hits the sink and it becomes turbulent. So you got a lot of our air is like that, but closer to certain features like mountains and trees, and in a city, if you think about if you're coming into land in an aircraft, it's going to be more likely to have more turbulence. If there's stormy weather, there's going to be more turbulence, and particularly at altitude in an aircraft, if you're near the jet stream, which is almost like a river in the sky of hot air flowing to cold. Around the edges of that jet stream, there's more turbulent flow as well.
Is turbulence becoming more severe?
Yeah, so I'm not a climate scientist, but we've been looking at lots of climate science in this area. It's interesting to us as aviation workers. So there's evidence that over the last 40 or so years, we've had a 55% increase in severe turbulence. And the expectation is, projecting that modelling out over the next few decades, that we'll see a doubling or a tripling of severe turbulence events over that time as well.
It's not good news for people that are trying to book holidays or go on holidays at the moment. It's never what we want to hear. Is it all down to climate change?
Yeah, so and that manifests itself in a few different ways. So global warming increases the temperature variation at altitude, and that increase in temperature difference causes an increase in wind shear, which causes an increase in turbulence. You've also got more energy in the weather system, so we will see more severe storms and that kind of thing that will affect like coming into land at an airport. If there's a storm in that city, you might have more severe crosswind, it's called, where there's wind across. So you might have seen the big jet show where the guy with the video camera watches the aircraft come into land during a stormy day, and it's quite difficult for pilots in that moment. It's pretty safe. We're aircraft are designed for this, pilots are trained for it, but it's still uncomfortable. As a passenger and as cabin crew and flight crew, you prefer to have a smooth ride, right, and have less uncertainty around whether you might need to go around and attempt a landing a few times, and for that landing to be bumpy. So it's certainly uncomfortable, and it's something that is not good news for aviation workers or for air travellers that this is increasing.
And as you say there, people are geared up to cope with it. The aircraft is, the pilot. How much of a concern is it?
I think one thing I'd like you to think about in particular is the cabin crew. So you've got air travellers. Now, the thing that you can do as an air traveller is you can stay seated and you can stay belted. And if you suddenly encounter turbulence, you'll stay in your seat and the chances are you'll be perfectly safe. Now, the danger could be if you get up to go to the toilet at that moment. So if you do see the seatbelt warning signs come on, it is recommended you get back to your seat as soon as you can. Cabin crew don't always have that luxury. They might be moving around the cabin, going to see people that want some food, want some drink, want some assistance. So that means that they're more at risk. Not only do they fly more than the average person, so the probability of encountering these events increases, but also when it does, they're more at risk. So Some of the statistics show that maybe like 3 in 4 severe injuries are to cabin crew rather than to travellers. So, as, aviation workers, this is something that does impact us directly.
And what kind of work is being done to mitigate it?
Well, to an extent, like the best thing we could do is reduce our emissions, reduce global warming as much as we can do. That will help the fundamental underlying issue. In terms of like just dealing with the problem that's happening, we do have some airlines that are recommending that their cabin crew like return to their seats before they start the descent earlier on. That makes a lot of sense. And we can like try and predict these things as much as possible. But it is quite difficult because some of the severe is clear air turbulence, which is difficult to see with the naked eye and via satellites. There is some technology around like measuring this in active control, but that's a long way off. So the chances are this will happen more and more, and really the seatbelt is the ultimate kind of safety precaution for the time being.
We'll be talking to a pilot on the way before 1 o'clock today to find out a little bit more about turbulence and what it's like from his point of view.